Welcome to the Real Deal with Tricia Riel. That's me, Trish the Dish. Well, as you can imagine, the astrological aspects are particularly intense at the moment. We have a large pileup of planets together in the later degrees of Capricorn. This epic conjunction of planets is with Mars, Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn, all big players. Mars is supercharging the already existing Jupiter-Pluto-Saturn conjunction in Capricorn, which is the sign of the mountain goat. The goat god Pan! Don't make me into a scapegoat, bringing on pandemic with a pandemonium and a little bit of toilet paper panic. Okay. So Capricorn is the zodiac sign that most represents structures, rules, government, ambitions, and reaching great heights. The last time Pluto was in the late degrees of Capricorn was pre-1776, most similar to around 1771, and also in the Renaissance of the early 1500s. We are coming to the end of a larger Pluto cycle here, which is a 248-year cycle, the ending of certain political structures before the birth of something new.
Well, if you think that capitalism is making sense, I beg to differ.
Anyway, Mars, known as the god of war and passion, intensifies the focus on Capricorn matters as it travels through that area of the cosmos, intensifying politics, restrictions, serious fears, power, and government control.
Seriously, the world is so hot and bothered about this whole virus thing that it feels like it has coronavirus fever.
Anyway, Jupiter, the planet of expansion, is associated with largeness. We are seeing a larger-than-life world situation, but in a very controlled manner. Pluto is known as the god of the underworld and of death and rebirth. And Saturn, coming to the last degrees in its home sign of Capricorn, is associated with structures, rules, discipline, and limitations. This epic conglomeration of planets coming together in Capricorn is very intense, as we've all undeniably noticed.
Yeah, seriously, this coronavirus has really been cramping my style. I've had to give up licking doorknobs and everything.
Ew. So, as we're approaching spring equinox in the northern hemisphere, a change of season and a change of focus, we are at the darkest point before a certain phase comes to an end. The epic conjunction of all of these planets in Capricorn gets more intense as the moon travels through Capricorn on March 17th and 18th, magnifying the vibe on control of all things.
Well, at least we've been able to significantly cut carbon emissions with the closure of everything. That shows that we actually have the power to minimize pollution and combat climate change worldwide. Silver lining, right?
Thanks for that perspective, Gussie. Sure. So, from March 16th to the 21st, Saturn also reaches the very last degree of Capricorn, the 29th degree, also known as the critical degree. So this is a culmination of rules upon rules. Lockdowns have occurred in many major cities.
Turns out that binge-watching movies on Netflix has been training us to save the world. Who knew?
I suppose so, Beatrice. The main point is that the setting of limits and boundaries is seriously amplified at this time. We're all seeing it play out worldwide.
Well, I'm glad I planned for this and stored so much of my money in the freezer, 'cause now I've got cold, hard cash.
Well, geezer, I guess that's one thing to be happy about. Anyway, We have a lot of questions about the virus, and we're doing our best to protect our medical infrastructure while we figure things out. More structure stuff. What we do know is a virus happens when a cell is poisoned in one way or another. It's our cells excreting toxic debris. In the case of COVID-19, it's believed that it originated in a wild animal market in the Wuhan province of China, and possibly from an infected bat, which people probably shouldn't be eating anyway. They are pretty cute.
So, now we're all going batshit crazy?
Well, bat medicine is also associated with rebirth. Bats fly at night, and in the night are born many of our dreams.
Well, I have a dream of building a more sustainable future, but things are feeling really upside down at the moment.
Personally, I hope this whole virus thing resolves itself before tick season, 'cause otherwise we'll all be having corona with Lyme.
Anyway, Saturn enters Aquarius on March 22nd and travels through that area of the cosmos until July 1st. So this will bring a slight shift in the energies. Big structural changes to groups and community, and possibly some unique and rebellious vibes. But because Pluto and Jupiter will continue to travel through Capricorn together, the background energy of transforming our world structures in a big, serious way is still part of the overall picture.
Pictures? You know why you can't find any good photography jokes? They haven't been developed yet.
Anyway, Mars joins Saturn in Aquarius in April, bringing some more visionary energy to the mix, and possibly new information and unexpected responses to it.
Yeah, like how 60 gigahertz from 5G causes oxygen molecules to spin and oscillate. Changes to the spin frequency on oxygen electrons can have impacts on human biology.
Well, that's another topic, Melvin.
Well, you see, when we breathe in oxygen, it gets picked up by hemoglobin in our blood. But when O2 is affected by 60 gigahertz, O2 is not able to bind to hemoglobin as easily, making it more difficult for our bodies to uptake oxygen and therefore affecting our ability to breathe. Bombarding the planet with 60 gigahertz from 20,000 satellites will lead to the deterioration of many species on Earth, including ourselves. We don't know how this virus is actually spreading, but what we do know is that 5G is not helping. China and many European countries, including Italy, have chosen to embrace 5G, beginning as early as July of 2019. Changes to the spin frequency on oxygen electrons can have impacts on human biology. Plain and simple.
Ooh, well, it does sound like quite a situation. I'm not a scientist like Dr. Malvin Moot, but it sure does sound like we've got a glitch in our hiccup.
Yes, Gussie, it does. Anywho, with the shift of a couple of planets into Aquarius in April, we might create new, outside-the-box ideas and possibly have some revolutionary breakthroughs in science. New structures for how we socialize are also a potential this spring and through early summer.
It's a strange time period, but my introvert friends are feeling okay with it. Finally, they get to do something they're good at. Staying at home and avoiding people.
Yes, Vinny, it's working out okay for some people, even though it's economic mayhem for so many others. The intense Capricorn vibes do return again in late summer and into the fall, as Saturn re-enters Capricorn for its final journey through the later degrees of that sign. Some people may remember the giant pileup of Capricorn planets in January of 1991, when George Bush Sr. was talking about the New World Order and the Iraq War. It was another intense time period in politics and in the world. Anyway, these are just natural cycles. Even though we are all at a real turning point, it's best to respond to these energies in a calm manner and know that they will pass. The culmination of all of these planets coming together in Capricorn this March is similar to the cosmic influences coming up in November of 2020. So just hold on to your hats. So, is this time period where we get our 2020 hindsight? I don't know, Tree. But by the end of December 2020, we'll begin a whole new 20-year cycle with Jupiter and Saturn coming together in Aquarius. We will be moving into a very new and different future, but we'll still be in quite the transition phase until Pluto enters Aquarius at the very end of 2024.
For myself, I just like how we're all finally going to be washing our hands, wearing masks, and replacing handshakes with the Vulcan greeting.
Yes, cultivate stronger spiritual capacities in order to cope with the demands of this very strange time period. We are at a real turning point. So, live long and prosper, everybody. If you enjoyed this report or found it interesting, please do feel free to donate to my Patreon page, link provided below. Patreon.com/Tricia Riel. I'm Trish the Dish. This is The Real Deal with Tricia Riel.